Welcome back, everyone, for today's video. Today I'm going to be recapping the last round of the August Action Chess Championship held here at Chess Zone. Now, for this last round, I'm playing against a national master named Chris Chambers. And although his rating may seem low for a national master, he was once eligible for the title because he once crossed 2200. But he has dropped a bit of rating since then, but nonetheless, he still retains the title. And as of round 3, my score is 1.5 out of 3. I lost my third game, so if you didn't check that video out, I recommend you go watch it after this one. And my opponent had the same score as me. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the action. So Chris started the game with f4, which I have officially never seen over the board. It's the bird opening, and it's quite uncommon because it weakens the king's dark squares, and it's just very unconventional, especially for top-level play. So I played d5, just gaining control of the center, and already black has a small advantage because of white's dubious f4 opening. But nonetheless, Chris plays the move knight f3, knight f6, e3, c5. This is all book. Chris played the move b3, ready to fianchetto the bishop to b2. I played the move knight to c6, and Chris played the move bishop to b5, pinning the knight on c6. I played the move e6, slight inaccuracy, probably should have unpinned the knight with bishop to d7, but it's no big deal. I didn't think the slightly damaged pawn structure was any serious liability. So after I take the bishop back, Chris hopped the knight into e5, attacking my pawn on c6, and I choose to defend it with queen to c7. Next, Chris played the move c4, and I was thinking about what to do here. I was actually thinking about the move bishop a6 here, and if he ever took, then I would just be way better because my bishop snipes the long diagonal, and white's king is going to be stuck in the middle. So if they try to block it off with d3, then Engine recommends you just complete normal development. And after a move like bishop to b2 and both sides castle, the Engine evaluates this as a better position for black. But I didn't see it like that. So let me just go back here. So after the move c4, I play the move d4. Slight inaccuracy. I was just trying to push my pawn up and gain more center space. The reason it's an inaccuracy is because after bishop to b2, that pawn is kind of hard to defend. And I may have overextended a little bit. If I were to take on e3, and white is just much better because black's queenside pawn structure is shattered. And yeah, that's basically the main reason, and those pawns can become eventual targets. Additionally, if you try to hang on to both pawns, the pawn on d4 and the pawn on c6 with a move like queen to d6, then after queen f3, white is just piling up on the weak pawns, and black will be on the passive end. So yeah, that was why d4 was a bit of an inaccuracy. So yeah, after bishop d2, I think for a little bit. I play the move bishop to d6. Time is about even here for both players. We each used about a few minutes of time. And bishop d6 drops a pawn. I understood that, but I thought that even though I sacked a pawn, that I would get some sort of benefit in the position. And Chris actually went into that. He took my pawn on d4. I take back, and after he took back, I blitzed out the move c5. And I'm gaining tempo on the bishop, and after the bishop retreated, I wanted to go bishop b7. And I have the bishop pair. They are eyeing the king side, and if white were to castle, I would have some sort of pressure building up there and could potentially build a battery with queen to c6, and the bishops are just aiming at the king side, and it looks slightly unpleasant to the human eye. Now, the computer didn't like this, and Chris, to his credit, found the best move, queen e2. So after queen e2, I played the move knight to d7. That knight was too strong here. And I was calculating, okay, if knight takes knight, queen takes, Chris can't take this pawn because after rook g8 and the bishop moves, I can first take on f4, but even here, like, rook takes g2, white is up a pawn, but yeah, black's pieces are very active, and there's a lot of white targets that are loosely defended. So that would have been the ideal situation. Instead, Chris played the move knight a3, and I prevent the knight from going to b5, which would have forked my queen and bishop by playing the move a6. I played this pretty quickly. And as of now, Chris is spending more time than I am. I have 47 minutes left, and he has 38 minutes left. And yeah, this position is very complicated, I would say. Chris played the move rook to f1, and I guess he's trying to prepare f5 at some point. Well, he can't play it now because he would drop the knight in e5. But the point is that he's trying to... my king is still in the center, and his queen's lined up on my king, and he's trying to open the e-file with f5 push. But at the opportune moment. So that's why I think he played rook to f1. And here the engine recommends to take the knight with the knight. And I would kind of rejected this because after pawn takes, my bishop has to move, and then white's rook has an open f-file. And I'm still down a pawn. I didn't really see how this would benefit me in any way. In fact, the top move is knight b1. Like who in the world would play knight b1 in this position? Like, let's be honest here. So practically, it didn't look good, and I didn't want my bishop to be attacked with tempo. So for that reason, I took with the bishop. But this is worse because I played knight f8, and my knight doesn't really have a good bunch of good squares to go to. And yeah, I'm still down a pawn here. So after knight f8, I'm trying to remaneuver to g6, and I can't long castle because I would hang rook f7. So I played knight f8 also to have the queen defending f7. So here Chris decided to long castle, and I did the same thing. Yeah, and white has a very big advantage here, partly because I have isolated pawns on c5 and a6. White's up a pawn here, and white can even play moves like d4 to try to fight for the center. So Chris played the move knight to c2. I played knight to g6, and he lashed out with the move d4. And I played the move rook d7, trying to bring the other rook to d8. And in this position, I had 34 minutes, and he had 26 minutes. So Chris here took on c5, and I can't take right away because after rook takes d7, king takes, rook f7, check would be lethal. So I first get rid of the threat by playing rook takes d1. Chris took with the rook, and I played queen takes c5. And yeah, time update, I still have 34 minutes, but he's spending a good chunk of time for every move. Now he has 22 minutes. And here, Chris played the move g3. I suppose trying to stop knight f4 or something like that. And I play the move h5, trying to play h4, and if pawn takes, I would get my rook out like that. Here, Chris played the move bishop to d4, and I retreat to e7, maybe eyeing a check on g5, and I maybe could play h4 and have it backed up with 3 pieces. Point is that I didn't really want to go to the side. Like I kind of didn't want to go queen a5 here, and because of queen f2 and your f pawn is hit, and bishop b6 can be a thing after you defend your a pawn, of course, because it's being attacked. So I chose queen e7 here. And Chris played the best move. He played queen to e3, and I played the move rook to d8. So that way, if the bishop took, I could simplify it and get the king and bring the king out to the center where I could maybe attack it with the queen. So here, Chris played the move bishop to c5, and I, without hesitating, trade rooks on d1. And the king is now in the center. It's not mated or anything, but at least I can have a check or two, and the king is a bit more vulnerable now. So I'd play the move queen to c7 because my queen was attacked. And Chris plays the move bishop to d6, anchoring that bishop on d6, supported by the pawn. That bishop is very strong, and if I'm not careful, the queen is going to slide into a7 or even b6 and threaten all sorts of threats on the dark squares. So I try to create counterplay, play the move queen to c6. And if white were to play the move queen a7, apparently his play is stronger than my play, because queen h1 check, king to d2, sure, you can grab this, but after king c1, the checks soon run out, and queen b8 is unstoppable, and white is just much better here. So white's counterplay was way stronger than mine. But Chris didn't go queen a7. He assumed that he reacted to my threat rather than ignoring it and going for his own attack. So with 11 minutes left, he played the move h4, and I tried to play the move f6, and I'm trying to undermine the bishop. So obviously he cannot take because I would take the bishop on d6 with check, and I'm trying to undermine what's supporting the bishop and threatening to take on e5. Nonetheless, even I played f6, he hopped his knight into d4, and I played the move queen to h1 check, king to d2, knight e5, he takes, and after takes, my pawn in e6 is going to drop. I'm going to be down 2 pawns now. My king is more vulnerable than his king, and his knight and queen are going to create some menacing threats that I'd have to deal with. So I play the move queen to g2 check, and he had about maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9 minutes in this position, and he played king c3. I grabbed the pawn in a2, and he played a devastating move that totally throws the advantage in my favor. I was totally expecting the move queen takes e6, giving check, and then continuing the attack in some sort of fashion. But I guess under time pressure and the fact that he had already played 3 games earlier today, or from exhaustion, he played the move knight takes e6. Oh, sorry about that. He played the move knight takes e6. And can we get a James Canty quote here? That's not a move, big fella. Get him out of here. So knight takes e6, devastating blunder. I assume his ideal is to threaten queen c7 mate, and right when he was lifting the knight to capture my pawn, he realized that he had messed up. But in official chess tournaments, it's touch move, and he touched the pawn clearly. He touched the knight, so he had no way of backing out of this one. It was written all over his face that he had blundered. We both saw it, and I triumphantly played the move queen to a1 check. And in this position, Chris resigned the game because I'm skewering the king to the queen, and wherever the king moves, I would just grab a queen, and I would be a queen up. So, very shocking blunder, and very favorable blunder, because I was pretty much going to lose this game otherwise. And I have just had a new chess achievement. I have officially beaten my first titled player in over-the-board chess, or at least in slow chess. And this was very monumental for me because I've never beaten someone this high rated, and it felt really great to secure a win in the last game. And this shows that chess can be both exhilarating and brutal, because he had this game in the bag. He just missed queen a1 check, and I totally feel it for him. Like, if I were in this situation, I would also be scolding myself, doubting why I chose chess as a game and not checkers or mahjong. But in any case, we get a very big victory in the last game of the tournament. Final score of 2.5 out of 4. The ratings are not yet out, but when they are, you guys can go to my USCF profile and take a look at the results for yourselves. And yeah, I'm going to wrap up this recap by saying thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button below. Leave a comment, a like, and let me know what you thought of it. And so without further ado, I'm going to end this recap. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day or night. Bye.